Hi, Tom from bknutrition.com. One of the most common things that gets said to me whenever I'm talking to people about body composition training, so my coaching is building muscle, losing body fat. That's what I coach, so that's the sector I'm in. So I have a lot of these conversations every single day. One of the most common things people say to me is, I don't want to become a bodybuilder. And by this, they obviously mean in their head, they don't want to get the body to say how I look or how I used to look with competitive bodybuilding. But what you've got to appreciate is that the bodybuilding that people have in their head is the competitive, the extreme side of things. It's the top tier level that only say 1% of people, anybody who ever gets into bodybuilding will ever reach, because you need good genetics, you need a certain affinity for training hard, you need a certain affinity for hardship when you're training and dieting. So all these things that only say 1%, I would say, the people who actually lift weights can actually do. Many people try to do dieting and dieting for shows and stuff. Not many people actually succeed and make it. Many people try to get a bodybuilder's physique, but actually only 1% will actually achieve that level, because it comes down to genetics and mindset and all those other things. However, this is the perception of bodybuilding that most people have in their head. And when I say to people, when they're talking to me, what's the best way to build chest, what's the best way to do glutes and everything else, I say, well, why don't you just do a bodybuilding workout? And oh, but I don't want to become a bodybuilder. However, you've got to think this through. Say if I was looking to do improve my 5k run. Now I might go and ask a long distance runner or a marathon runner some tips on how to improve for long distance running. Now, okay, let's put aside that I'll never ever run a 5k. I'll obviously never ever run a marathon. I'm just not built for that. I'm a technically obese 5'4" bodybuilder with oversized muscles. There's no way I'm going to get round a marathon. I'll probably only just about do a 5k if I really train for it. However, if I was talking to this marathon runner and I was talking about improving my 5k run, I wouldn't have to say to him, oh, I don't want to become a marathon runner, because that would be obvious. You know, it is obvious I don't want to become a marathon runner. However, I do want to learn from his expertise as a very experienced and skilled marathon runner how to improve my long distance running. So here's the thing, when you're looking to build some muscle and lose some body fat, it's highly likely that someone who has done that to an extreme level can give you some tips on that. Now, what I would sort of frame this by saying is that not everybody who ever competes and does a bodybuilding competition is going to have the knowledge to get you where you need to be, because of the fact that many of these people don't know what they're doing themselves. Many of these people just wing it and starve themselves until they're in the condition and maybe put themselves in a health position. However, people who have done it consistently time over time and have also coached other people time after time, and who also can tell you the science behind some of those factors as to why things work and why they don't, they are the people to talk to, and they will normally have some degree of bodybuilding, maybe competition type experience under their belt. Now, here's the funny thing, is that a lot of the people who are the top end coaches were never ever professional top end athletes, because they didn't have the genetics to get there. However, they do have the knowledge to be able to get themselves in good condition and build muscle. And this is now what they do to coach others with. They extol their knowledge onto people who are more genetically gifted to get them the results. So if you're wanting to learn how to build some muscle, you probably should go and talk to a bodybuilder or someone who has experience in coaching bodybuilding. Now, this doesn't mean you have to become a bodybuilder, but you want to learn from people who've done that and have been in that situation. Now, and here's the thing, when I talk about people who have done bodybuilding, I'm not just talking about behemoths either, because I have a lot of very good colleagues in the industry who are not what you would probably think looking at them are called bodybuilders, in terms of they're not massive guys, but they have built muscle. They do know how to build muscle on others. And they do it generally by using a blend of bodybuilding type techniques. Now, bodybuilding techniques are good for fat loss and muscle gain, and here's why. Fat loss requires a calorie deficit in order to get body fat off. That's a scientific fact. No matter what anyone's going to tell you, you have to have a calorie deficit to lose body fat. If you don't have that, no body fat's going to be lost. Okay, so there's the first thing, you have to have that. So you have to have a lot of calories going out. The second thing is if you want to build muscle, you have to train with resistance weights to failure in order to stimulate the muscles to ask the body to be built better. Do this by DNA signaling, but we won't go into that. They're not on other videos. So you have to take the muscle to failure with resistance training so that the body adapts and builds the muscle bigger over time. Now there has been a lot of studies on the best way to cause hypertrophy, which is muscle building. And the best way for hypertrophy is, let's look at all the data. It's between about 7 and say 12 to 15 reps. But within that frame period, you have to get to failure within the 7 to 15 reps. Anything under 7 reps is more likely going to be sort of strength adaptations, and anything over, say, 15 to 20 reps potentially is putting you into a zone where you're not lifting the amount of weight that you need to stimulate the muscle to grow optimally. So a lot of the research is based around this sort of 7 to sort of 15 to 20 rep range, and that is bodybuilding in a nutshell. Bodybuilding is volume work with weights to failure. Now if you combine those two, and if you do a lot of bodybuilding volume work, you're going to be burning a lot of calories, because every time you lift a weight, you obviously need to burn calories and make ATP to do that, to contract the muscle. You're going to burn a lot more calories than say if you were just doing strength training, which is 5 times 5 or something similar. So bodybuilding does satisfy the requirements for a fat loss and muscle building workout quite nicely. Now here's the thing, there are other people who say, I've worked with CrossFitters, and CrossFitters will also argue that their way of training is maybe the best because they're doing a lot of calories out. However, what I found working with CrossFitters, because I don't program their workouts, I just work with them for nutrition, what I found is that although yes, they're doing a lot of output, a lot of their stuff they're doing is sort of lots and lots of reps to failure, which pushes past this sort of 20 rep range. And let's be honest, when we're looking at CrossFitters, unless we're talking about the top end of it, yes, they've got incredible physiques, but they look fit rather than the bodybuilding fit, because their training incorporates more fitness and lifting, and where the bodybuilder, all a bodybuilder's thinking about is getting the muscles as big as possible. So you've got the spectrum here where you want the muscles as big as possible. If you go into strength training, you're going to more strength, so you're lifting more weight, but you're not thinking about the muscles getting bigger. That's a byproduct, that's a secondary thing. If we're looking at CrossFit, the whole purpose of CrossFit is to get you fit by lifting weights with lots of volume and lots of sort of body weight stuff as well. So you're over here in the fitness, and the building muscle is a secondary consideration there. Only bodybuilding is the sport where building as much muscle as possible is the goal. So, okay, you're going to get stronger by doing some bodybuilding training, and you probably will get a little bit fitter as well because you're lifting weights to failure and under volume and everything else. However, the focus is solely on getting the muscle as big as possible. So that's the workout you want to do if you want to grow, insert body part, bigger. And I realised how that sounded just now, so let's think about something else. So when people talk to me about what's the best thing for building glutes, what's the best thing for building chest, it's always going to be a bodybuilding workout that I suggest, because bodybuilding workouts, you can get lots of variance, you can lots of volume, lots of different angles, and the workouts that I program for my clients have always got a number of variables in. They've always got some sort of strength exercise to failure, which is low rep, so that ticks one of the boxes for hypertrophy. Then you've got volume work, then you've got pump work, and then you've got supersetting, and you've got drop setting, and a few other things that take all those different elements that have been researched and studied and puts them all into a workout. You generally don't get that with other types of training. Bodybuilding is a very sort of encompassing type of training, if you do it right, that is. So that's the sort of training I teach and I coach, and that's the sort of training that works very well for people. So when people say to me, I don't want to be a bodybuilder, or do you want to build some muscle or not? That's the question you've got to answer. And most people say, yeah, well, I do want to build some muscle. And then when you break it down, explain it like I've just done in this video, hopefully, they go, oh yeah, that makes sense now. But the problem is, it's that stigma of, I don't want to be a bodybuilder and get massive. Believe me, it's not that easy to get massive doing bodybuilding. You have to do it right for a long period of time, eat lots of food the right way, and in some levels, yes, there's some performance enhancing drugs there. However, you're not going to get massive by training like a bodybuilder. What you will get is more muscle, and if you do it right with a good diet as well, you'll lose some body fat. And that's what I coach. That is the teaching that I use. I believe that bodybuilding is one of the best things you can do, because if done right, it also reduces the incidence of injury, because you're not going for 1 rep maxes all the time. You're not doing stupid form, because the principles of bodybuilding is volume with weights, under tension with correct form to stimulate the muscle properly. If you're doing all those things correctly, you're not going to be pushing your lift to such an extent that your tendons might be tearing. You're not going to be taking your form out, so you might be putting your back out or something like that. If you're doing bodybuilding training properly, you will be training with correct form, with volume, with a weight that you can handle. So that is where I teach it, that's why I coach it, and obviously I combine that with my own blend of fat loss techniques, and that's what gets people results. So when people say to me, how am I going to build some muscle and lose some body fat? I don't want to be a bodybuilder. Unfortunately, you're going to have to start being a bodybuilder. And if you do it right, and if you do it in those things I've just mentioned, yes, you will lose body fat and you will build muscle, and you'll still feel a little bit better about yourself. Not going to be some behemoth on stage, most likely, but you will look better and lose some body fat and build some muscle. So I don't want to be a bodybuilder. You should start being a bodybuilder if you're serious about building some muscle and losing some body fat. That's just my opinion. Others will differ, but that's what I coach, and that's what I get results with. So thanks for watching. Hope the video was informative. Hope you got something, maybe changed your view a little bit about being a bodybuilder. But certainly I've coached males, I've coached females, I've coached competitive athletes, I've coached people who are overweight looking to lose body fat. I've coached lots of different people in lots of different walks of life. They all got results by training like a bodybuilder and eating sensibly, eating the foods they like to get the body they want. That's my ethos, that's how I coach people, and they've all got results. So there must be something in it, it's not just me saying it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.